Welcome back to Fantasy Football Today, presented by BetMGM. Make it legendary. We're talking running backs now. Speaking of legendary, our buddy Robert Turbin joins us to talk about the position, and we're going to get right into it, Robert. We got the trade deadlines coming up in a lot of fantasy leagues. You know the running back spot better than anybody else. Who is someone that fantasy managers should be trading for that could help them hopefully put them over the top and maybe win a fantasy championship?
Great question. I think that if you're looking for somebody who's going to give you steady numbers each week, who's going to have availability each week for the rest of the season, maybe had a rough start, but it's Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, to me, in the way that this offense is playing for the Ravens at this particular time and what you project they'll do going forward, I think will be a nice pickup for someone who is either trying to get into the playoffs or that are already in the playoffs and want to make a championship type move. I think Derrick Henry is that person for this particular question.
I love that call. Guys, we've seen Henry obviously struggle even lately. You know, was good against the Dolphins 2 weeks ago, struggled last week a little bit, lost the rushing touchdown against the Vikings. Tough matchup this week against the Browns. Is now the time to go get him, or maybe wait after if he has another down game against Cleveland? But I'm with Robert. When Lamar Jackson's on the field, I feel great about Derrick Henry. So hopefully that pairing stays together the rest of the season. Dave, how are you approaching Derrick Henry in trade?
Well, first and foremost, when's the trade deadline in your fantasy league? If it's after this week's games, then you could wait another week. But if it's not, and once the games kick on Sunday, the deadline passes, you need to go and get Derrick Henry ASAP. And I like the call. The Ravens look like a team that are going to contend for a playoff spot this year. And when they do that, they're going to stick to what works best for them. And what generally works best for the Ravens is a strong rushing attack and Lamar Jackson playing off of that and attacking downfield. Derrick Henry is going to be a huge part of that. Look for a lot of touchdowns from King Henry.
I think the other side of this, though, Robert, is who are you looking to get rid of? Because obviously you want to try and maybe enhance your receiving core, maybe find a quarterback, maybe try and flip somebody to get Derrick Henry. So if you're trying to trade somebody away who's either been struggling or coming off a good performance or good stretch of performance is selling high, who's the running back that you're looking to trade away?
Yeah, and just one more point on Derrick Henry. The other thing is I think you can buy low on Derrick Henry right now, which is why I think it's a good time to pick him up. As far as trading away, look, I think Kenneth Walker III is a guy that you need to trade away from your team right now. Obviously, he just hasn't had the production that you think you would be able to get, this season. The problem is you have to have a desperate manager, who really needs a running back in order to trade. I don't know how much interest you're going to be able to generate with Kenneth Walker III. And so if I had to pick another guy, it'd probably be Travis Etienne with the Jaguars. Those would be my two guys to sell right now at running back.
Heath, when you look at Etienne, because I think he's the more prominent one in terms of trying to sell high on, coming off a relatively strong game last week despite the struggles for the Jaguars. We haven't seen the Bashal Tutin impact that a lot of people thought might happen at the start of the season. Can you now maybe look to flip him, knowing that the Jaguars struggle a little bit right now, receiving core is a mess? Is now a good time to sell Travis Etienne?
I mean, if I could get Derrick Henry for Travis Etienne, I would be happy to do that. So I think some of the problem with trading away Travis Etienne is he's got a little bit of that Kyron Williams syndrome where everybody's always trying to give Travis Etienne's job to somebody else in the fantasy football community. I remember it was 6 months ago or less that people were drafting Bashal Tutin ahead of Travis Etienne. So I still think he's a good RB2. If you look at the playoff schedule, there's a lot of good games coming up. They've got Tennessee, Indianapolis, the Jets, then the Broncos maybe not good, and then the Colts again. So you got to aim for someone like Derrick Henry if you're trading away Etienne.
All right, so aim high if you're trading away Travis Etienne. Obviously try to buy low on Derrick Henry. Great trade advice there from Robert. Now we'll get into some of our rankings here, and Robert can certainly chime in, help us out with maybe some of the dilemmas that we're dealing with. So here's the rank list 1 through 12. And as we always do, we give you the players who are a little bit difficult to rank for us. I don't think anybody on this list is a little bit of a challenge yet, so we can maybe just go 1 through 12 and then show 13 through 24. So, Robert, the three names that we have here, for Dave, it's Breece Hall. For Heath, it's Woody Marks. For me, it's Kamani Vidal. Which of those names stand out to you as somebody that you think can have a great game this week in Week 11, or maybe somebody you want to avoid against Breece Hall, Woody Marks, and Kamani Vidal?
On this list, who's going to have a great game?
No. Of those three names, these are the guys that we're struggling to rank and where to put them. Breece Hall, Woody Marks, Kamani Vidal. Who stands out to you?
I think it's Woody Marks. Woody Marks is, proven that he could be a top fantasy back, when given the opportunity. He's had some ups and downs, but mostly ups this season. And so for me, it'd be Woody Marks.
So I agree with him having the most upside, especially this week of this group. Great matchup against the Titans. He was awesome against them earlier this year. The only reason I have any problem ranking Woody Marks is because this is the third time last week that he played at least half the snaps. The two prior times, he went right back to a 35-40% snap share the very next week. They've spoken outwardly about not being sure that they want to give him 15 to 20 touches per game. And so I do just worry that the Texans decide to pull back on Woody Marks a little bit, especially if they've got, the defense has some success against Tennessee, they will, and they build a big lead. Is that the guy they want to ice the game with? Or do they want to keep touches off of him and just give those to Nick Chubb when the game's at hand?
It certainly could be a concern. I'll just skip ahead when we get to it, but he's the guy that I'm going to highlight as a start this week simply because you said it's the Titans.
Yeah.
I mean, his best game this season came against Tennessee, just played 80% of the snaps. DeMeco Ryans basically just came out and said he's not a rookie anymore. We trust him. He's going to be in a prominent role, whether that's the lead role or the dominant role throughout the course of the game. That remains to be seen. But I'll just take my chances knowing that the Titans suck and he's coming off a strong game, just playing as well as he did. So I think there's huge opportunity here. Dave, just real quick about Breece Hall.
Sure.
Coming off a strong game, we know that everything is a mess for the Jets right now. Garrett Wilson's not going to play. It's a tough game tonight against the Patriots. Is he just an easy start, or is he somebody you're a little concerned about?
I'm trying to not start Breece Hall, to be completely honest with you, and I don't like having him as a top 24 running back, and that's really a byproduct of not having a lot of great running backs available to us in fantasy this week. He was one catch away from being a total dud last week and then being somebody that we would talk about avoiding this week. It just so happened that the one catch was a 40-plus yard touchdown scamper that he had. He's going to need to do something like that against the Patriots. This is a great run defense. I am very nervous about how Breece Hall will do. I like Woody Marks better. I thought Marks was outstanding last week. His pass protection, some of the reps he had were 10-year veteran good. So I believe DeMeco Ryans when he says that he's not a rookie anymore. Marks over Breece Hall for me.
Let's go now to the guys that we're looking to start. And Robert, we'll just stick with you because you got the other guy in the same game, and that's Trevion Henderson. Ramondre Stevenson not going to play with the toe injury. What do you think of Henderson the last 2 weeks without Stevenson, and how do you think he'll do tonight against the Jets?
Yeah, no, I think he's amazing. And the thing that you love about Henderson right now is that his confidence is building. I mean, we can look at the numbers and everything like that, but I can tell you guys as a former running back, when you start to taste a little bit of success and you start to feel what's going on out there in the game, both in the run game and catching the football, and then even in pass protection, just feels like all of those things are starting to come together for Trevion Henderson. And I think that's going to equate to a lot of success, especially against the Jets defense that is not the Jets defense that we've known over several years. And so I like Trevion Henderson in that matchup.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think we're all in agreement that we're expecting him to have a big game, especially, again, without Stevenson there, and probably Terrell Jennings going to sit out as well. Heath, for you, you're starting Chase Brown. I guess just, start everybody in that Bengals-Steelers game?
Start everybody in that Bengals, well, maybe not Calvin Austin, but start almost everybody in that Bengals-Steelers game. Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. One, the rushing average for Chase Brown has been a lot better since Joe Flacco became the quarterback. It turns out if the other team thinks you might have success throwing, it's a little bit easier to run against them. The other thing is Samaje Perine, as soon as he went out, Chase Brown went back to being a 90% snap share guy. That was really the thing that made him a must-start running back last year. He just never came off the field. We may be back to that again with Chase Brown.
Should be a lot of fun, and again, 14 targets in his last game. His only 100-yard game did come against the Steelers the first time these two teams met. So the last 3 weeks have been very good from a fantasy perspective for Chase Brown. All right, Dave, so we've talked about two rookies already, Woody Marks. We got Trevion Henderson. And
why not one more?
One more in R.J. Harvey. It's about time. Maybe he's going to come through and help fantasy managers?
I hope so. I mean, this is really about having a great opportunity. It's not the matchup you'd want him to have. He's not taking on Cincinnati or anything like that, but it's Kansas City. The Broncos don't have much of a choice. They're not going to make him their only running back, but I think he's in line for a minimum of 12 touches. We know that touchdowns have been something that have gravitated toward him over the last 4 weeks. And even though his efficiency has been in the tank, it's because he hasn't had a lot of work. I think when fantasy managers look at running backs this week, and once you get to RB20, there's going to be flaws on all of them. I think R.J. Harvey just has the opportunity, the speed, the work in the passing game to be somebody who can factor in to help Denver bring home a win against Kansas City at home. So I'll take the chance based on opportunity and talent that R.J. Harvey is a good number 2 fantasy running back.
Robert, what do you think about that situation? J.K. Dobbins almost certainly not going to play and maybe candidate for IR. So is this now R.J. Harvey's time?
100%. R.J. Harvey's got a great opportunity to really excel as the running back for the Denver Broncos moving forward.
Yeah, hopefully that's the case, as Dave said. Could be somebody else working in the mix, maybe Tyler Bidet, maybe it's Jaleel McLaughlin, but let's just give the kid all the chances he can have. One game this season so far with double digits in carries. It was week 4 against Cincinnati, 14 carries in that game, 19 PPR points. So the upside is definitely there, and Heath is sure you're buying into that as you have him ranked at number 14. Let's go down to the running backs that we're going to sit. And Robert, we got a lot of changes happening with the Giants. New head coach, with interim head coach at least, with Mike Kafka taking over for the fired Brian Daboll. Most likely new quarterback because Jackson Dart's in the concussion protocol. That's a plus or a minus for the running back situation there with the Giants, whether it's Tyrone Tracy or Devin Singletary?
Well, I think from a carry standpoint, it's a plus for the Giants because I think they'll lean on those two guys, Tracy and Singletary, to try to be productive offensively. But, we know Jameis Winston wants to throw the ball down the field, and we know that he's also susceptible to turnovers. And I think that Green Bay, their game plan is going to be to, stack the box a little bit and eliminate, some of that run game for the New York Giants and try to force Jameis Winston to put the ball in the air and try to beat them. And Green Bay on Monday night was as good a defense I've seen them play in a long time. And so, to me, Tyrone Tracy had a good week last week, but he's a sit for me this week against Green Bay.
Definition of a trap back so far in the 2 games. He had 14 carries, 71 yards, not getting a lot of work in the passing game. And the Giants, for the most part, have been allergic to the end zone unless it's Jackson Dart. So good call on Tracy there. Dave, you're sitting David Montgomery this week. So you already said you're sitting Jared Goff. Is just basically running away
I'm running away from Lions, not named Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I've got questions about Jamison Williams. Sam Laporte is a start. I would use him. But I do think that the first thing you have to ask yourself whenever you think about starting Montgomery is, can he score a touchdown? Because all of his games with 13 or more PPR points, he's scored a touchdown. So against Philadelphia, I think that's going to be tough for him to do. This isn't the type of game script that Detroit's going to be able to build a lead and run away with the game against Philadelphia. I don't think that's happening. So I'm very nervous about him finding the end zone. And when he doesn't find the end zone, he's had no more than 10.1 PPR points in a game this season. I can't start him knowing that that's part of the floor. It can get worse than 10.1 PPR points. He is at best a number 3 running back in this tough matchup.
All right, so Dave's not welcome in the city of Detroit. Heath, you're not welcome in the city of Tampa. Well, Tampa. That's not Tampa Bay, but in the city of Tampa because you're anti-Bucks this week.
Anti-Bucks this week, and you would think you'd want to start the running back going up against the Buffalo Bills, who have been absolutely dreadful against the run all year long. I just don't know that Rachaad White is the back most equipped to take care of that. I think it's Sean Tucker, the better runner. Last week it was 10 carries for White, 9 for Tucker. Wouldn't be surprised in this matchup if Tucker actually had more rush attempts. White's going to need a lot of catches, and the Bills haven't been near as susceptible to pass-catching running backs as they have been to running backs running. He's a flex still this week, especially in full PPR. I would start him over Tucker in full PPR, but I don't want to start either one.
And just keep in mind, at least as of Thursday, Bucky Irving, 2 straight days of being limited in practice. There is that caveat that he could return and obviously change things around for this Bucs backfield. All right, the only way I'm going to Seattle is with Robert because I don't like Sam Darnold and I'm a little bit concerned about Ken Walker. Robert, you kind of laid this out that, Walker's been struggling. Just explain to me really quick because week 3 he scores a touchdown. He has not scored a touchdown since. Zach Charbonnet's got 5. George Halani has a touchdown. Why are they not giving Walker touchdown opportunities, Robert?
Well, I just don't think that they trust him, inside of the red zone, for whatever reason. And it's interesting because, he's got the skill sets, but, I'd have to get into the weeds a little bit of some of the film breakdown that I've been, looking at in terms of the Seahawks. But, Kenneth Walker has become an undisciplined runner. And so, he's missing a lot of opportunities for big runs because he's just not seeing it. And he's not seeing it because he's just not doing the little things right. His track, his steps, and things of that nature, staying in between those tackles and things of that nature where he's supposed to be. And so, the Seahawks are like, look, we got better guys who can get downhill, break tackles, and be more physical in the red zone. And that's why he's not getting those opportunities.
And tough matchup this week against the Rams. They've only given up 1 touchdown to running back on the ground so far this season. It was Brian Robinson Jr. last week. But the way Walker is allergic to the end zone, can't trust him in this game. All right, Robert, we appreciate the breakdown of the running back position. Have a great call between Boise State and San Diego State. We're looking forward to seeing that. For Heath, for Dave, we're going to take a break right now on Fantasy Football today. When we come back and get into the wide receivers that you need to look at for week number 11.